first of all, a very, very happy new year from the entire team of the Watches TV, and welcome to a special prime time, as this edition will be kind of a summary of 2016, and that's the reason why I paraphrase one of the surprise showmen of the year and entitle it, "Let's Make Watchmaking Great Again." Okay, and I will not do some kind of impersonation of the man, would simply look too bad, and especially don't want to get into some kind of Twitter rant with Mr. T, even though that would be hilarious. And by the way, and as you can expect, there is almost more merchandising with the Trump name than with all Disney characters. So of course there were some watches that I don't think they make them anymore, and naturally they were very Goldie-like type, resembling some other famous watches, just beautiful tastes as you can expect. So let's indeed go back on why I use this title, and I know it's a bit of a caricature, but 2016 has definitely seen the end of an improbable cycle for the watchmaking industry, and some people in some brands seemed almost shocked by it, but everything was already written quite a while ago following the massive 2008 financial crisis. So some people just didn't want to face reality and blamed outside parameters to explain this gentle decline, but which turned out to be a brutal one in 2016. But I'll get back to this in a sec with my analysis of the situation and why I paraphrase Mr. T, because for us, watchmaking is already great, and in 2016 we've seen some fantastic timepieces that we share with you. You apparently really enjoyed our latest watch porn compilation published just a few days ago. We've met some great people, great craftsmen and watchmakers, been to some incredible places, pulled a fabulous watchmaking road trip adventure, and above all, we're just super delighted that our love and enthusiasm for this great craft is getting so much more attention. We've more than doubled the number of views, slightly above the 5 million mark in 2016. Watch time is seriously up too, with more than 1 million minutes of content seen each month, and we're also getting there in terms of subscribers, as we're reaching an important and symbolic milestone of 50,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. So this is almighty cool, and we can't thank you enough for it, and the level of interaction that we're enjoying is, I simply love the fact that you guys are participating and sharing what we do, and the commenting section is just a great demonstration of this. It sincerely fills us with purpose and energy for the future, because we still have many exciting ideas and stories to bring to you. Trust me on this one. And I also take this opportunity to introduce to you our new website, because I just got a bit seriously inspired during this Christmas break, which in turn didn't turn out to be much of a break, but that's all fine, as I have the great pleasure to announce our new platform found under a new and simpler URL, www.watchestv.com. Yes, as simple as this. So for the time being, we will continue to run the older site under the original URL, www.thewatches.tv, but we'll be transitioning most of our content to this new platform in the weeks, months to come. So this represents more than 1,000 original video reports done over the last 5 years, so it will take us a bit of time, and we'll for sure leave some of them on the side too. Nevertheless, I know that YouTube will remain our prime access point, and that's simply great. Just love YouTube. And the main objective with this new platform is to propose to you another way of interacting with our content. It will be a richer experience with more media available, more pictures accompanying each post, a bit more text, descriptions and relevant links, and maps of where our videos have been shot, a better and clearer navigation using simpler and logical content categories and tags. You will also find a commenting section using the Discuss plugin for those of you familiar with it. And importantly, we will also keep up a blog where we will share about more info about us, a bit more behind the scenes things, and or watchmaking related info that we've seen, for instance, elsewhere. So you will also be able to subscribe to our monthly content newsletter, and naturally this website is fully responsive and optimized for mobile use. It will also make our lives more efficient in terms of sharing contents on our various social media platforms, and you'll also see our Instagram feed directly on the homepage. So again, new URL, www.watchestv.com. Very simple, and don't hesitate to follow us also on our other social media. We promise to be better on these two in 2017, just some additional good resolution. And just for info, we will also introduce the Watches Boutique directly on the same site. This is coming very shortly, and we'll do a special video when it goes live. But I can already tell you that we'll start nice and slowly and propose you some cool stuff, but not necessarily seen elsewhere. And again, and this is super important because our prime mission will not change. We are there to produce video contents on what we love and share it with as many people as possible. But this added boutique should hopefully help us better finance what we do and therefore do more and better, because like I said, it's not the ideas that are lacking, but the resources to do it. So with all this, I hope our overall audience numbers will keep rising and even accelerating a bit. But at the same time, I know we're talking about a rather niche craft. I mean, it's no pop star, football, celebrity, dog and cats type of content. And furthermore, I know we've been talking a lot about some crazy timepieces, the very top of the pyramid. A bit like if we were only talking about supercars, not even the entry-level Porsche or Ferrari, but the super high-end watches that only a few people around this planet can afford. So I promise we will be a bit more democratic and talk about some more affordable models this year too. But with this very privileged access to these exceptional timepieces, I think it's nice that we're able to get close to them and share what's behind them with you. Because again, it's the craft that really drives us, not the price of these watches. Well, nevertheless, it doesn't mean we can't make our videos enjoyable, informative and entertaining, and 2016 has clearly seen us going further down that route, because at the end of the day, it's all about pleasure. And this notion is for me the most important one. We all know that in today's world we don't need a mechanical watch to know the time, though sometimes I think it's much less rude to have a quick and discreet glimpse at your watch instead of boldly taking out your phone in front of everybody, but that's just a personal opinion. So yes, watchmaking is all about pleasure. You buy and wear a watch because you want to treat yourself with a little pleasure. And this pleasure is found, or at least should be found, at all the different levels of the watchmaking process. From the designers, the constructors, the watchmakers, obviously, the machining people, the assembly, the finishing, and so forth. But ultimately also at the sale point. So this makes me come back on the title of this prime time, because over the last few years, business was doing in a certain way too well, and it disconnected itself from reality. Prices increased without any justifiable reason apart from greed, and there has simply been too much excess almost everywhere. We've seen this elastic snap, but I can promise you that I saw this coming since day one of when I created the Watches TV. I'm not saying this to say how fantastic my vision is or was, but it was just written all over. As I mentioned in our new segment, Me, Myself and My Watches, I started my career as a business consultant and had therefore some mandates in the, at the time, very lucrative private banking business here in Switzerland. This industry had been doing great for the last 200 years, whatever the context, war, no war, you name it. And so most of them didn't see coming that the rules of the games were changing and what impact it would have. The famous Swiss secret banking system was about to gently disappear. And yes, we live in a more and more transparent society, whether we like it or not. Think of big data, for instance. So total secrecy was the #1 argument why the Swiss banking system had been doing so well. People in these banks were still convinced that they were actually really good at what they did in terms of financial performance and so forth, but that was definitely not the prime reason of their success. So where I'm getting at is that some of these people were pretty arrogant at the time and they could not imagine or envision a future without them. Well, I can tell you that this sector has been rather decimated since then. You still have a few important players, naturally. Banking is still important here in Switzerland. But the ones that survived are the ones that adapted to this new reality, and Swiss banking still has some very strong points to defend. But it mutated and focused on some key competencies, and those good old days will never come back. Rules of the games have definitely changed. So in contrast to this almost uninterrupted success of private banking, watchmaking has always gone through cycle. And when it's written 1751, 63, 1821 or whatever, it doesn't mean that these brands have been enjoying tremendous success since then. Just to give you an example, after the huge financial crisis of 1929, Audemars Piguet didn't sell one single watch in the year that followed, And only a bit more than 30 years ago, with the quartz crisis, the mechanical watch industry almost fully disappeared. And it took a lot of courage and hard work to take it where it has been over the last few years. But the important point is that some people forgot that they were almost dead only 30 years ago and thought that for whatever reason, watchmaking could benefit from an uninterrupted growth forever. Okay, when said like this, it may sound a bit naive, but I can promise you that some people sincerely believe this or refuse to see reality and therefore took watchmaking on a shaky and dangerous path. So we don't yet have the final 2016 export figures of the Swiss watchmaking industry, but we already know that this year has seen a very serious decline in those numbers. But even if these numbers in the near future come back to levels seen 10 years ago, well, it's seriously not that bad. It still means that we have a working industry, something necessary for the entire watchmaking brands. But it will still definitely imply some changes. The problem is that the industry mainly blame outside parameters to explain this downturn. Obviously, the price increase of the Swiss franc didn't help, the fact that Russia was no longer a player due to international politics, that China marked both an economical slowdown and, more importantly, that anti-corruption law made it more difficult to use watches as object of fraud, international terrorism having an impact on global tourism, global financial instability, weak oil prices, and well, you see it. Well, so all these are valid arguments, but they should not be used as the only excuses of what is happening to the watchmaking industry. We know we are talking about a product we don't need, we know it's by definition a luxury product, it's not a mass market product, so let's produce less, but better. Let's keep the desirability way up there and focus on what's really important, what makes mechanical watchmaking so special. And you can count on us to say focus on this, because here at the Watches TV, like we've said, we're not here to defend brands, but a craft, or crafts I should say, and most importantly the people behind them. And it naturally makes us sad when these last ones are unfortunately the first one to suffer from the consequences of poor management and strategic decisions. So thankfully, some brands also see this like this, the human at the center of it, and not only the cash machine watchmaking had become. And when I say this like this, well, you could think that all brands were doing exceptionally well, but let's be honest, because this was not the case. You had some brands that were indeed doing really good, and everybody thought that they represented the norm. That's what they were all chasing for, and didn't look at what was their own reality. For instance, having one particular market catering for 60–80% of your revenue should trigger the alarm that maybe you're a bit too dependent on this one. But as it was doing so good, well, that market was seen as your reality. Well, you see where I'm getting, because all this created a vicious circle. Prices keep going up, brands keep producing more, quality was going down, and now, fortunately, you have more educated consumers that finally kind of got it, that there was probably something wrong somewhere. So you see the big problem, and again, I'm not making a generality, because not everyone can or should be placed under the same umbrella. But when you produce too much at a too high price with average quality, and now the current reality wants you to lower your price and do things better, well, there is some kind of a catch-22 situation, and I seriously don't have the answers to that one, apart that it will take some time, probably a few years, before getting things more on a sound and healthy path. So by saying, let's make watchmaking great again, this for sure implies some courage, and it should not undermine what some brands have achieved over the last few years. Think of the success of some of these independent brands. They are cultivating their own little territory and are doing this rather well. I'm not saying that things are easy for them, they are also struggling, but at least the consumer gets something that matches the true codes of luxury. Uniqueness, great craftsmanship, the story behind your timepiece, the human hand behind it also, the passion of the creator and manufacturer. I know that some of these watches are super expensive, but that's inevitable due to the small production volumes. So for the big brands, some of them have some pretty tough time ahead of them. Recently, we've seen, for instance, brands buying back stocks from retailers on an international level, and this to avoid the grey market to explode and damage the perception of the brand and their products. But this requires quite some deep pockets to do so, and not everyone can afford this. But it's a necessary and a responsible decision. Well, anyhow, let's not be too pessimistic. There are still a lot of great things happening on the watchmaking planet. There are still fine examples of great creativity and innovation. But let's just hope that we'll all have a brighter future in front of us, and we'll for sure keep you posted on this one with some new and fresh contents coming your way. So additionally to our regular reports, we will for instance pursue with our Who's Who of Watchmaking series, with our Me, Myself and My Watches, portraits of collectors, and are working on a more technical understanding of watchmaking series. It seems you really like the hairspring video, and we have some other nice surprises coming in, in that direction. We'll also work on a historical series, so yes, we will be very busy, but this is all very, very exciting. So now let's talk about the immediate future, because in 2 weeks we'll bring to you an extensive coverage of the SIHH. This is going to be quite interesting for all the reasons mentioned before. And before this, we'll also bring to you quite a few exciting video reports starting next week. So thanks for your time. I know this was a rather long edition, but really wanted to make a few points. And remember that we have a new website. Don't hesitate to give us your feedback about this one. I mean, we'll improve it as it goes along. But it was already an important step for us. So www.watchestv.com. So thanks, Happy New Year to all, and see you real soon.
Hey!